I try not to go there because it just sends you in a mental spiral. It's like I really try to stay in my own lane when I'm competing and prepping and really just looking at what do I need to do.
All right. What's up, guys? And welcome back to the ShiftEQ.Podcast. I am joined here by the beautiful, stunning, overpowering, dominating Courtney Spaeth. How are you this morning? Thank you for joining me.
You are very welcome. I'm a little tired, but we're here. Rockfest weekend has me a little wore out, as you can hear my voice.
I saw that on your Instagram, and I also saw that this is you and your husband's like 7th wedding anniversary and 17th wedding. Oh my God. I got to be honest with you. I don't remember the last time I was talking to anyone for more than 17 days. So let alone 17 years. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And then you guys went to a rock festival to celebrate your guys' anniversary.
It's something that we've done every year for years. So we have a group of friends that go out and we just camp. We actually don't live far from the grounds, so came home this morning to do this, and we'll go back and finish up because today is the last day of concerts. So.
Oh crap! Or any performances that you are looking forward to today?
I think I've hit my big ones already. I mean, today will be a good day, but the Thursday night we saw Ice Cube, so that was the highlight of my weekend because I grew up watching Ice Cube, listening to Ice Cube, so that was phenomenal. He doesn't sound or look any different, so that was fun. And then last night, Falling in Reverse, that was great. I really enjoyed their music, but was very disappointed in them. They started 20 minutes late and cut their act 30 minutes short.
Did they even have a performance?
They're like, bye. I'm like, where are they going? They only played like 5 songs. What is happening?
Oh my God.
So that was kind of disappointing that and I've heard from other people that have gone to other concerts, they do that a lot, I guess. So
that's disappointing. That's my God. You know, the last music festival I went to was like 2014 Coachella, and I know I'm kind of dating myself here, but I remember there was a couple of bands where they showed up 20 minutes late, and there's only so much time for these bands to perform because they have to stay on a schedule. And then when you have a moment like yours, end 30 minutes early, you're like, why are you even here? Like, what are we even doing? Yeah. So that's interesting. But what I enjoy about this, especially about the rock concert and everything, it seems like you kind of had this plan from your most recent show. Was that the plan to like do that show and then kind of do this to kind of get off from the prepping? Like, can you kind of go into that?
When I look at my show schedule, I always try to figure out what shows are going to fit with the time frame of other life things. So it just was one of those that I'm like, okay, this show works well. It'll be before Rockfest because after is probably not the best choice because we do VIP. So it's like, I want to be able to enjoy myself eating and drinking and having those things. So I definitely try to plan my show schedule around my life. I don't try to eliminate things and, just demographics of timing, location, all of that go into factor for me choosing shows.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
So, and that's, I think where, hitting this NPC show, it was a show that worked within my timeline that was local to me. I didn't have to travel across the country. Being a pro natural figure competitor, sometimes finding those shows that are providing that pro figure division, it's very limited at times.
Yeah, that's interesting because so Michael Jadozzi, who's on this channel, he says the same thing about natural, like classic physique competitors, that he has to be very selective with the shows, because you don't want to show up to a show, especially with everything that you achieved, and all of a sudden you're competing against one other person.
Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine that doesn't, that doesn't really provide anything to compete for. But what I really enjoy and what I found really interesting, especially about your journey and this most recent show, is that it was an NPC show, aka a non-tested show. And as a natural athlete, I know that kind of, I don't want to say raises controversy, but it definitely brings up a lot of discussion points. Um, can you gonna go into what made you sign up for a non-tested show, and then kind of talk about what it's like for you as a natural athlete to win a non-tested show?
Yes. So going into a non-tested show, I if somebody wants to do bodybuilding not naturally, that's their decision.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look down on anybody that does that. It is their right. It's their body. They choose to make bodybuilding what they want for themselves, right? So myself as a natural athlete, I choose to do bodybuilding naturally. I want longevity. I want better health. I mean, it's something that I grew up instilling my whole life. So going into a untested show as a natural athlete, one, like I said, it worked for my timeline. Two, I just wanted to see how I felt in the mix. And three, show natural athletes it is possible. You can do it. You can hit an untested show. There is nothing wrong with that, and you shouldn't be ashamed for that. Just as like I said, if you're not a natural athlete, that's your choice. Don't be ashamed of that. And I'm not going to shame anybody else for making that decision.
But it's interesting you're saying that, because it seems as if that you've gotten some kind of backlash for competing in a non-tested. Can you kind of explain some of the, I guess, comments that you've received, some of the criticism that you have gotten since you competed and since you won? Damn right. By the way, I am so fucking proud of you. Like
Thank you.
So to like actually meet you in person at the Florida Pro and being like, wow, Courtney's such a genuine person. And then for you to win that show. And first, there's two things. First, I had no idea you were competing. And second of all, when you won and it was a non-tested, I from the natural bodybuilding community, I'm like, yeah, that's one of us. Like, yes.
Yes. And it was so fun to see the natural bodybuilding community just in an uproar. I mean, everybody has been super supportive and excited. And like I said, that's a huge win for me. Huge win. That's, to be able to build and progress over the years to get to that point, to come into an NPC show and be competitive and come in dominant. That's huge. So that was definitely a huge goal of mine. And, it's been something I've been criticized for years. I mean, I'm an athlete that I am not scared to get uncomfortable in my off season. I will put on weight. I put on 38 pounds this last off season.
Oh, wow. 38.
I say eat hard, lift hard, right? You have to fuel to make that progress, and you have to put on that weight. And so over the years, I have made leaps and bounds in very short off seasons. And so I've been criticized from people from day one saying that I'm not natural. And, it's a little disheartening to have my integrity questioned. I'm a very straightforward person. I'm an open book. And to have people just assume because I grow fast that I'm using. That's, I've been tested, urine analysis, polygraphs, the whole shebang throughout my entire career. And all of those tests speak volumes. My words should speak volumes too, but doesn't for most people. So it's one of those things that I'm like, thank you. Thank you. Oh, you think that I'm using, it's like I look the part. naturally,
Mm.
which is a huge compliment. But then, like I said, that my my integrity being questioned is very disheartening to me. So that's something that I don't take lightly,
Mm-hmm.
and I will not stand for it.
Outstanding. Yeah, that's what I find really interesting, and what I've just kind of ventured in, especially with different industries, is that the criticism that you receive is a direct reflection of that person's own journey with regards to whatever it is that you're exhibiting. So, you know, regardless of the industry, and right now I'm just going to talk about bodybuilding because that's obviously what we're talking about. When people see those kind of results, they just think about what they've responded to, what they have done, or what they haven't done. And therefore, when something doesn't align with them, when they see someone of your result and your caliber, they're like, oh, she has to have cheated. There's no other way. But then you got the other people that have put in the volume, that put in the work, that realize that every single journey is different from the next one, will realize, hey, no, she put in that damn work. She gained 38 pounds in an off season. I mean, in all reality, for anybody that goes into bodybuilding and that constantly goes in and out of weight, you wouldn't know how challenging that is, not just to only put on the weight, but for the psychological and the emotional
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like, you go from being single percent body fat to now all of a sudden seeing 30 some odd pounds, especially on your frame. I first of all, I
Yes.
couldn't have even imagined that. How was the plan to, what was 30 some odd pounds the goal, or was it like a certain macros? Like, can you kind of go into what that was to get into that off-season mindset and off-season approach?
So I definitely do a macro approach, really trying to focus on slow increased changes. So I'm always shooting for getting my macros over 3,000 calories a day. So in off
Wow.
season, I'm typically eating 400 grams of carbs a day.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
carbs.
so it's a lot of food. It's a lot of food, and even so in prep, this is something I get questioned a lot too. With
Mhm.
why why do you keep pushing to failure? Why are you still you're in a deficit? What's the goal that you're shooting for, or what how are you obtaining that? Well, when I'm in prep, 2,100 calories.
Mhm.
I don't go very low, and I
Mhm.
keep my carbs in check. So I still have that fuel and energy to push hard. And, coaching myself, I know what my body responds to. I know over the years of what I've played with, uh, where I need to be and what improvements I need to make. And putting on the weight. So the first few off seasons I probably only put on 15, maybe 20 pounds. And I made some changes. I did, but not what I wanted to see. So I'm like, let's
Mhm.
push the threshold. Let's go higher. Let's go higher. So always adjusting and watching how my body's responding to things. And that's where I ultimately got myself to that really high calorie intake to be able to make that progress.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I remember I spoke to Eric Murphy a while ago on the Subculture Live platform, and he spoke a lot of
Yeah.
what you're just saying, where he now just coaches himself. He does an extreme amount of shows, but the way that he keeps himself sane is the fact that he's present with his body, and based off the experience that he's been able to. Kind of what you just alluded to right there. Just know exactly what to respond. Don't go too low. I mean,
Mhm.
and I love the fact that you coach yourself, by the way.
Yeah.
Was it, did you always start with coaching yourself, or can you kind of talk about like the beginning of your journey and kind of talk
Yeah.
about how you evolved to coaching yourself?
So I did have a coach to start with. It was actually a close friend of mine, and she was just trying to jumpstart her personal training business. And
Mhm.
I was basically her guinea pig. I I had just came out of a ACL medial lateral meniscus repair surgery. So I had recovered from that, and being a therapist background, I knew that my body needed strengthening. I needed to change something if I wanted the longevity of my body to hold up, my knee especially. And, obviously strength training is key to injury prevention. So again, preventing something like that from happening again. And so I'm like, let's do this. Let's see where I can go. And just basically taught me the ins and outs of bodybuilding. And so we did that. I think it was a 16-week prep. So mind you, I didn't do any lifting. I did like insanity cardio type workouts prior.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into this cold turkey. Cold turkey. I was the girl that would eat chocolate chip cookie dough and Mountain Dew for lunch. So it's like I've always had a really good appetite. I've always had a really high calorie intake. So switching to clean whole foods versus junk foods, I think my body just fed off of it. So I was able to make incredible changes in just 16 weeks and put on muscle mass because I was able to keep my calorie intake still high. And went into that show, and that first show of mine, mind you, didn't know anything about bodybuilding, was an NPC show. And so that was part of my wanting to come back and try it again too, so I could be like, okay, look at these changes that I've made. Let's see where I fall. But anyway, so that show was a show that she had done, and just like, let's do it. Okay, I don't know anything about bodybuilding. Let's go in. So I did win my height class in that first NPC show, but did not win the overall. I wasn't even remotely close to the caliber of those ladies. So, and then just taking it from there and continuing my journey on my own and just learning and evolving, learning from other coaches, getting my own certification in personal training, and just, continuing to grow and learn. And, there's no better way than to experiment on yourself, right?
Right. That's interesting. So if I got this correct, you were the person that just kind of did your insanity workouts, ate a bunch of chocolate chip cookies. I hate to say, just like a normal ass person, and then you just 16 weeks, say, I'm going to do a competition.
Yeah.
And then you won your first competition, and an NPC competition, by the way. That's And how long ago was that when you started?
So that would have been 2017.
Okay. So 6 years ago. Wow. And I guess what was that like for you? Like kind of going through that? Because I know a lot of people, I'm going to do a 16-week prep, but especially for your first show, were there any like big aha moments? Were there any moments where you're just like, holy crap, this is what I want to do? Like, can you kind of go over what that evolution was like?
There really wasn't any aha moments other than driving to the venue and going, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Oh my God.
I had that sheer panic, first time competitor. You're like, why did I get roped into this? I don't know what I'm doing. And then my poor husband, afterwards, a few weeks went by and I'm like, I think I want to do another show. I'm like, I have this federation card. I might as well use it again. So I did another one in the fall. That was my reasoning. I'm like, let's just do one more. And he looks at me and he's like, I thought this was a one-time deal.
Oh, man.
And he was not about it. But over the years, like I said, after that second show, and I'm like, I think I really like this. And then just started to dig around and research different shows, and then found natural shows. And I'm like, well, why don't I do those? Because that makes sense. And started doing natural shows and finding those that had like a running format. So it was live judged, because that was the worst thing. My first two competitions was that split format, that finals or the prejudging and finals. And I remember sitting around waiting forever. Figure was towards the end, right before bikini. We didn't get out of the venue till like midnight. So then to go anywhere, we ended up going through a Taco Bell drive-through because we couldn't even find any place that was open to go sit down and eat. And so anyway, that was kind of one of my other things, looking at other shows. What else is out there to make it more enjoyable? And that kind of leads into us promoting, obviously, a lot of the the pros and the cons, the things that we like and the things that we don't like, to try to create a platform for the athletes to enjoy their day. But anyway, the evolution of competing, once I started doing natural shows, and then, had 2 back-to-back wins in my first 2 natural shows, won my pro card right away. And, a lot of people discredit natural pro cards because a lot of shows, it doesn't really matter how many competitors are in the show, right? These shows that I did were big shows. I mean, there was a short, medium, and tall group. So it's not like they were just, here you go. Here's your piece of candy. They didn't just hand them out. We had to work for it. And, and then continuing that journey into the pro caliber shows and trying to find, like you said, shows that had a good amount of pro athletes. So that's something I look for now, to have that level of competition, because we all want a level of competition, right? We don't want to show up, like you said, for just, you're the only person on the stage. So then again, another reasoning to look at some of these NPC shows. I want to have some competition on the stage.
Right. And that's like the core of who people are. They're competitors. It's not about whatever that you can just kind of promote from a lackadaisical kind of perspective. It's just like, no, I'm here to compete. I'm here to compete against other people. And it says a lot about you, the fact that you're winning and you're just like, I gotta compete. I gotta find some more people to compete, right?
Yes.
I find it really interesting on the mindsets of people that continuously win. And it's interesting because although you've won, you just like, I got to compete more. I've got to win more. Can you explain for you what that's like? Like, what is it what does it mean to you to win? What does it mean for you to continue winning and continue finding these competitions? Like, at what point is it like, it's like, damn, Courtney, you're just fucking winning all the time. Like, well, why? What are we doing it for? Right? Can you kind of go into that?
So obviously winning is a big perk. However, the biggest thing for me is every show I'm analyzing, what am I doing? What do I need to improve? And for me, it's coming back each time with those changes that I know I need to making the drastic, the hamstring glute tie-in. Like, that was probably my biggest weakness in trying to bring those improvements to the stage every time. That's more to me than anything. And I was super proud of seeing the depth of muscularity that I brought to the stage this last show. And, still the level of conditioning, I know I can get more. And to me, that's what drives me after every show. I had somebody message me and said, what are you doing? Like, Monday after the show, you're training like you just lost. Was their comment. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what it takes. You don't just stop. You keep going because this drives you for some reason, right? And for me, making those changes and improvements, it's just, one, it's fascinating, right? What we can do with the body. And 2, it's very empowering, right? You like, oh my gosh, look at the structure, the change. And every off season, I look at that too. Look at the difference in the structure. And that to me is what keeps me going. Obviously the wins are great too. I mean, it's just goes to show the work and the drive and the passion that I have behind what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's so passionate and so driven that I feel like watching your Instagram stories of you working out is like a pre-workout in and of itself. Like,
Yeah.
Like if I'm missing some of my Ghost pre-workout, shameless plug, I freaking love this, the little Sour Patch Kids version of it. But if I ever were to miss that, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna look at Courtney's Instagram stories and then just get motivated through that. Because you have some fucking beastly ass workouts. And what I love about it is like, it's not just like public gyms. It's like you have like your own private like gym inside your house or something. Like, you just have like this little room. But it like goes to
Yes.
show that it doesn't even matter about all the equipment. It matters the volume and the intensity that you apply to it. So I
Yes.
love the fact that you are able to highlight that. And I guess that leads me to the next question right here, which is, since you've been winning, since you just love this evolution of your body, has that, even before bodybuilding, is that something that you've kind of always been conscious about with regards to your body? Like, is that something that's paramount to you? I mean, can you talk about that?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a body like we talk about body image, right? Body
Mm-hmm.
image issues. That really hasn't been a driving factor for me at all. I love the muscularity. I love the body composition and those changes that can be made. And that's more what I'm looking at, what I'm driving for. And, to be strong, to be healthy. I've always been a very stubborn person, as my husband would say. You're so stubborn. And so I think that's part of that piece too, just continuing to push through, like, no, you're gonna suck this up and you're just gonna do it.
That's awesome.
He's standing, yeah,
Oh, is he back there just
standing
like
in the
listening?
corner.
Like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I say stubborn? Yeah, I bet you did. Oh man. So, another interesting thing is first of all, it feels like you've been competing longer than 2017. Just the presence that you have, the awareness and the confidence. And I made a recent podcast after the Florida Pro, speaking specifically about your stage presence and how much that energetically just kind of took over the show, like yours and Desario's. But can you, like what are your thoughts, like when you're on stage, or like, man, I gotta flex this oblique, or I gotta flex this arm, or like what are the thought processes, and then what do you think it is about you that makes that stage presence so damn electric?
I don't know what it is about me that I mean, other than I hit the stage just excited and confident, and I'm just there to be like, all right, look at what I did. Look at these changes. And the movement for me on stage comes easy. I was a gymnast my whole life. So being able to move and flow on the stage is probably one of my easiest things to do. I should practice more than I do this go around, because we've had so much going on, and like I didn't get the practice on the posing as much as I wanted to. But my thoughts, as I'm on stage, is just I'm just trying to stand tall and proud, and then thinking about all of my checkpoints, I call them. So working from the ground up on all those things, like you said, my arm flex and this and that, starting from my footwork up. And I always tell my competitors and clients that I do posing with, like, your footwork, your grounding and being confident on your feet is everything. If that is off, the rest of you is going to look and feel very uncomfortable. So having that movement down, the flow, and then just thinking about the next thing, right? So we're not getting flustered and stuck in one movement. You're always having to think ahead, and just, I don't know, that confidence piece. Like, it's something that you learn with time. It's hard for a lot of new athletes to have that, but you have to just be confident in your movement and go own everything that you do. Don't hesitate, and that can set the next person apart, right? You see somebody that's hesitant and they look awkward because they feel awkward, and that resonates with the entire crowd, the judges.
Yeah. Yeah. I find it interesting because at shows, I think that's literally what sets people apart from the next person is the energy, the confidence. Like, what are you bringing to the show? Because I've definitely seen it now where you have someone who is like head and shoulders, his physique is just phenomenally better. He or she, sorry. And then just the presence that they have about themselves is not as confident as maybe someone else, and it kind of brings everything down, and you're just like, man, like, what, like, just if you were to just have a different mindset, have something else, you would clearly take over the show. And therefore, and what I have learned, especially from like watching you, is like, man, I need to just hone my inner Courtney, and maybe I'll kill it the next time I step up on stage. Because like everything from like what you did on stage to your individual performance, I genuinely marveled at it, and for someone who's getting into the sport, that's still learning all the ins and outs, the differences between bikini, figure, and everything else. It's like, wow, this woman has got it. And I can't say how many times in my life where I wanted to mimic a woman's energy on stage because it was so fucking strong. And what I really enjoy about it is very strong and it's still very feminine. And I think to be able to balance that is, again, I'm wholly like fangirling right now with what I'm talking about, you on, but I definitely was in awe of what you did. And
thank you.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, the one pose that you, what is, it's like I don't know what it's like, your hand or like this, what is that called?
Front double bicep or back double bicep?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So front double bicep. Is that like I guess that's like a staple pose for figure women? Is that what that is?
Physique. Yeah.
Physique.
Women's
sorry.
Physique. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Front double bicep and back double bicep.
Okay. Because I think I've seen a photo or two of you. I might be making this up, but I remember something, or you're just looking like that, and I'm like, wow, I want to kind of mimic that in some dynamic. So, yep. Man, oh man. So, okay. So let's see. Fan question. Oh, I do have a couple of fan questions on here that I wanted to bring up. So give me a second. I thought I had this already. Oh, here we go. All right, so Diesel Glory is a big fan of yours. Diesel. She wants to know like your stats, your height, your stage weight, one rep max lifts, and your approach, intermittent fasting or keto. So let's talk about like the beginning of that. Stat, your height, your stage weight. Does that change? Does that like how can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm only 5'3". So most people come to me after the show and they're like, I thought you'd be bigger. I'm so short. And when I'm on stage, I look like a giant.
Oh my God.
And my stage weight this last competition was 123. My previous weight a couple years ago was 121. So I'm usually in those low 120s. However, when I first started, I was probably 10 pounds lighter than that. So have definitely put on weight every season. So that changes. As far as, what was her other question about? Oh, macros and fasting and that stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I don't do any intermittent fasting. I don't do keto. I literally have a straight macro all the way through my week. My one rest day a week, I will do a lower carb day, so lower intake in general, and that's it. I don't do anything crazy. I always talk about keeping it simple, right? Keeping it not restrictive. I don't take out foods out of my diet. I still have dairy. I still have fruit. I don't go weeks and weeks and weeks without having a treat meal. I have one time a week. I have a treat meal.
Oh, what's your go-to for that?
Doesn't matter. Usually, I don't know, sushi, pizza, I don't know, burger.
Sushi?
I love sushi. Love sushi.
Oh man. So sushi's your go-to for like a treat meal or cheat meal. I mean, is that what you go to like right after show as well?
Usually, yes. Either that or, pizza, or I don't know, sometimes going into a show, because I feed up so much going into a show that even after I'm like, whatever. I'll go get some appetizers. I don't like it's usually not I need to just fiend on a ton of food. So that makes prep a lot easier, and I come into stage a lot fuller because I'm not depleting myself.
Yeah. I find it really cool that you're just saying how you keep it simple, because I feel like people, all right, so let me backtrack this. when people see someone with a phenomenal result, they see people with an exceptional physique, it's almost like it's expected they do something so far exceptional and far out in the unknown that it seems kind of crazy that you just, no, I just keep it simple. I just don't restrict myself. I just do normal things. I mean, are people usually surprised when you tell them like, hey, I just keep it simple, I just do things?
Yes. And having the simplicity, obviously, as a natural bodybuilder, it's easier being natural, right? Because it's just food. You food, lift, food, lift. When you're not a natural competitor, you have all the other intricacies of whatever you're taking that you have to balance and manage. I wouldn't even have the first clue of where to start. So it's like if I have a competitor that wants to do that, I refer them to somebody else because I'm like, I can't serve you with what you need. And I'm not going to try because that's dangerous.
Yeah.
I've seen people
Oh my
do it that
God.
probably shouldn't do it. Ugh. But anyway, and then having flavor. So like my husband cooks all my food for me. I
Oh,
hate
that's so
cooking.
awesome.
Absolutely hate cooking. So I give him my meal plans and he puts my dishes together and does a phenomenal job keeping my foods flavorful. So using seasoning, using dried spices, liquid aminos, anything that is essentially calorie free, sugar free, that stuff to make things taste good and satisfy you, so that when you are in your calorie deficit, you're still not like, oh, I need to eat everything under the sun because I'm craving it. You're
Mm,
satisfied.
mm, mm. How has that been like? Because I've seen Tony in all of your stories. You've seen he's such a great support system. Can
He
you can
is,
you
yeah.
kind of talk about what that's been like for him as a support, for him to work with you on shows? Can you just kind of go into what that's like?
That's, a huge part of my success. Obviously, if you don't have the
Oh,
food, you're not going to make changes. So like where I am now, he is every bit 100% part of that. And having his thought process and demeanor change throughout the years with his attitude towards shows and competing. Like I said, at first he wasn't about it, and the evolution for him, like he travels for work. So on the weekends when I would go on Saturday to go work out when we didn't have our home gym, I'm like, why don't you come with me? I don't want to leave for 3 hours and not spend that time. So it started
mm.
off being called Forced Fitness Saturdays. So for Forced Fitness Saturdays was a legit thing for a
Right.
while. And then COVID hit and we were supposed to go on a vacation that week and we kept our time off and we're like, let's just put in the gym at home. So we tore down a wall, we opened up 2 rooms into one and put in our gym space. So then that started his real consistency of working out, and eating better too. So his evolution with the whole thing has been phenomenal to see, and his changes, putting on that muscularity, taking off some weight, and just feeling joints feeling better. And so that piece is, keeps me going too. It's like, it's helping him, he's helping me. It's definitely a big give and take. And and then obviously the morphine from that into him loving supporting the shows. He is the world's best expediter you will ever have at a show. The competitions that we've had athletes ask, like, is Tony expedited? He will give them exactly, like, you got 30 minutes. He will go and find people and make sure they have plenty of notice. They're getting pumped up, and then just obviously evolving into other roles at shows as well. And then running, we run our own shows. So it's
Right.
been definitely a little detour of the path that didn't really expect, but I mean, it's been great. It's been fun, and to be able to take those things that we see at shows and love and hate, and then create the best show that we can for the athletes.
Yeah, that's awesome. first of all, I love how smiling and glowing you were when you were speaking about him. Like I felt the energy, and that was really, really cool. And I think it's awesome that you literally just spoke about the fact that after your first show, he's like, all right, I thought this was going to be the only one, to now being one of the best expediters, and you guys are running your own show. Can you go into that? Like, what made you want to start your own show? And then what do you think it is about your shows that makes it different than anything else?
So our biggest thing with taking on shows is there was one local for us that we kind of took over, and we saw such a huge opportunity, and the few things that were missing, we're like, we know what we need to change and improve to make this an amazing event. And the biggest things for us, obviously putting in everything that we can into the show to make it convenient for the athletes, stress-free for the athletes, having those guaranteed cash payouts for the pros, as well as obviously the perks of the awards and things like that. Something I think a lot of athletes look for is what kind of quality, right, is behind a show. And then number one is communication. To be left in the dark when you sign up for a show and you repeatedly ask for information, or you have questions and you're just not getting any responses, that is probably one of the worst feelings as an athlete, because it stresses you right out, right? So having that communication, having things organized, and then just a seamless execution. So things starting on time and having all those little perks for the athletes throughout the show. And, obviously we all have things to improve on. Like we are as athletes, right? On stage, we have things we need to improve on. And so it's like we're constantly adjusting, constantly looking, okay, what did we not like about that show? What did somebody's input have, with a bad experience or good experience? And we make changes.
Mm-hmm. That's
so listening to the athletes.
Yes, listening to the athletes, because that's what these shows are all about. And that's how we raise the popularity of the sport. This is how we get more competitors. This is how we raise awareness. In your opinion, what do you think natural bodybuilding has to do in order for the popularity for the sport to get better, for there to be more competitors, there to be more awareness towards it? Like, what are some of the things that you think that we need to do with our community to improve it?
One of the big ones, this is the biggest one, our natural bodybuilding community needs to come together. We have way too much division. We have way too many federations. This is something I've spoke to so many people about, and adding more and more federations and more shows thins us out. You're creating way too many options and way too many federations that these competitors are like, I need to spend X amount of dollars to go to every single show that I want to do because I have to get a different federation card.
Right.
It's saturating what we're doing, and it's burying ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we don't start to unite some of this, it's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
You look at untested, right? NPC. There are stacked shows. There is one federation. That's it. They have a pile of athletes. Obviously, they've had years and years of exposure. Natural bodybuilding has not had as much. So the exposure piece, I think it's there. It's not as strong, but us thinning ourselves out is the biggest issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what made the Florida Pro so unique, is that they accepted pro cards from every single federation. And there was definitely a big feeling of just unison. It didn't matter what federation you're in. It doesn't matter whatever. As long as you're a natural bodybuilder that tested clean, you can compete. And it's just kind of what we've always been talking about. It made every competitor want to compete. It made the audience want to watch, because look at all of these perennial athletes. And I can imagine at other shows when you might just have one or two of these athletes, it's not going to bring that much attention. But it's, if we can create something, what I would love is for something where there's like this overbearing, this is the federation that says these are the top athletes, and every single year, something like an Olympia, something like a big show, I would really appreciate. I know there's bigger shows that are going on. You have like the Jordan, you have I forget what the big NGA is at the end of the year, and then you got like Mr.
NGA Universe.
Right. Like, would you consider those to kind of be like the overbearing, I guess, say in natural bodybuilding and the ranks, or would you say there still probably needs to be like another federation that says, not another federation, but another oversight?
No more federation.
Yeah, no more federation. Sorry. Do you mean like, man, I misspoke that one real quickly. But is there something that's like, do you feel like there's something that needs to kind of oversight, like, hey, this is it, this is who the best people are, no matter what? Do you feel like there's a need for that?
There is. And I think the biggest thing is like, we have it. It's there. Those big top tier shows, right? They're there. But how do we bring these together so we're in unison? We're not scheduling the same top tier show on the same frickin' weekend. Like, right. That's the crap that drives me nuts, is like, oh, well, I'm going to go and put a show in the same city on the same day as you. Like, that's just petty.
Yeah.
I don't have patience for it. And it's unnecessary. Like, just play nice in the sandbox. We're here as a promoter. This is me speaking as a promoter. We're here to create platforms for the athletes, not take them away, not to restrict. Like, it just drives me crazy.
Yeah. It just feels like a lot of these shows and a lot of these showrunners are just so concerned about making most bang for their buck in that respective show. And it's like, just like you said, if you kind of just take yourself out of the equation and think about the bigger picture of the community, less is more. And with less, you could put so much more detail, and it also adds value to athletes. And I definitely want to tackle that, because I feel like there's such a need for everything that you're saying. We need to come together. We're already a minority group. Like, it's one thing if we were the popular end of the sport, but we're the ones that are fighting for attention, and you can't do that individual out. You got to do things that brings everybody together, that has everybody swallowing their ego and like, no, let's make this about the community and not about the show. And so I love the fact that
that's where it's hard for a lot of athletes to find those shows, because you think about, okay, as a promoter, if you have 4 or 5 shows, but you're like, ugh, I've got all these payouts to pay. Okay, this show I'm going to have pro bikini and pro men's physique, and then this show I'm going to have pro figure. And then you have an athlete that's like, well, I want to do masters. Or like for myself, I went to try to do a show that only had masters, and it's like, but I need to do the open.
Mm-hmm.
So then you end up limiting the options. And if we just consolidated shows instead of spreading everything thin and then spreading our payouts thin, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I always find it funny, because obviously you get those big payouts, those big physical checks. And I love it when there's like $300 written on it. Like, oh, look at this $300 check. Like, all right, come on, bro. Like, is this really worth putting on a big piece of plastic?
No, it's not. You're like, it cost me more than that to be here.
Right.
And then I got to find a big check bank to try to take that too, so I can get my $300.
That reminds me of, have you seen the movie Semi-Pro? Where
that's the reference to that.
The homeless guy,
you gotta take 25 big check, big check bank.
A big check bank, yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't think I was gonna talk about semi-pro when this started. That's for sure. All right, I got a couple of more questions from some fans on here. So Larissa asked, "Will you compete in the NPC national show now that you won the last show?"
My plan is to try to hit a national show this fall. Yes.
Fuck yes! Oh my god!
Yes.
When is there anyone in particular that you are aiming for?
I do not have one I'm aiming for, and my schedule is so crazy. So I again need to figure out, okay, where am I going to be able to fit one in? How do they all fall in my timeline? The head judge actually came backstage after that show, and she's like, "You need to do a national show." And she's like, "There's a master's show in 2 weeks. You're going to do really well. You need to do this master's show." And I'm like, "But I got Rockfest, so that ain't happening." So we just have to look. We have to do the research and try to find one. But I do plan to do one. Yes.
That's awesome. And then, do you have any more shows for the rest of this year?
For fall. So I'm gonna be hitting the Mr. America.
Okay.
So that's out there.
Nice.
And then I would like to do the NGA Universe. We'll see how that works out. It is deer hunting opening weekend, and we always have people over at our house for that. So I have to figure out how I'm gonna piece all the things together. But definitely this fall.
Deer hunting opening weekend.
Missed the last two. Yeah, we have missed the last two. My husband put 2 cents in the last two hunting weekends. Now that this last year we didn't. What were we doing? We were in Florida. Yeah. Too many shows the last 2 years we have. Yeah. Been gone. So
deer hunting opening weekend. Now for someone who's in California, can you explain what the heck that means?
So here in Wisconsin, we have a deer hunting season. We have a deer hunting season. So there are a few weeks in the start of the winter that we are able to hunt. And I don't hunt. I don't like it's only 9 days. Sorry, not even 2 weeks. Being corrected. So it's rifle. So I only bow hunt. I don't rifle hunt. So the boys go out, and we have friends that come to our land because we have 80 acres out here in the middle of nowhere, and go out and try to slay some deer.
You bow hunt? Like you have an actual bow and fucking arrow?
Yeah.
I like how you say that's just, of course. Don't you have a fucking bow and arrow? Like,
Don't you have a fucking bow?
Yeah. Everywhere I go in California, here I am hunting deer and shit. Oh my God. That is, how'd you get into hunting with the bow and arrow? That's badass.
I just started shooting target one day. It was fun. And so I just kept doing that. Yeah.
That's the most subtle badass response ever. I'm like, I just saw something, I shot it and had fun.
I shot it and had fun.
Right. And by the way, I like how yeah. By the way, I like how you took off your sweater. I'm like, oh shit, I got to put my fucking sleeves down. What the fuck are we doing?
It was getting warm. I'm like, I gotta take this layer off.
Yeah, I just getting warm. I get it. It's cool. All right, I got 2 more questions on this. And then we'll wrap up from there. All right. So John G asks, what's your favorite and least favorite body parts to train?
Oh, I hate training legs.
Really?
That's easy. Oh, yes. That was my biggest weakness was legs. And I have probably year 2 or so when I was like, oh, my legs are the weak point. I started doing legs 3 days a week. So those are brutal workouts.
3 days
brutal workouts.
A week.
3 days a week I train legs. Yeah. So I usually do like a quad focus one day and then glutes hams and just keep alternating every other leg day. And then calves throughout the mix of all of those because I got baby calves. Baby calves need to grow. Like these little things. Oh my God. They have come a long way, let me tell you.
Oh
and
my
then
God.
my favorite, gosh, it's a toss up between shoulders and back. Like I love shoulders, obviously, because I have very big shoulders, and that's one of my scrutinies that, well, you have such big shoulders, so you must be using gear. No, I just lift heavy as fuck.
I'm gonna clip that, by the way. I'm for sure gonna clip that. For sure.
It is that's simple, guys. You freaking eat and lift heavy. Like one of my competitors messaged me. She's like, I had to watch your video like 20 times because I'm just mesmerized that you're just tossing around 30-pound dumbbells with lateral raises like it's nobody's business. Yeah. You gotta go, and you gotta go hard.
Right. And it's funny because the more I talk to you, I get where that intensity and everything is coming from, but it's just interesting where no matter what you do, no matter what you explain, people are going to have their opinion. People are going to hate if they want to hate. People are going to congratulate when they want to congratulate. And it's, I can imagine it's just a challenge being like, you know what? I'm done. I mean, are you getting used to that, those comments and dealing with that kind of stuff?
I am, because I've had it from day one. And the more you're successful, the more you're going to have it. It's just a given. And it's, like I said, it's disheartening. But at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing, and I'm doing everything as a natural athlete. I think the only thing fake about me is these eyelashes and this Botox in my forehead. I mean, it's like, get a grip. But yes, you're going to have haters. Haters are going to hate. You're always going to have it. And the more successful you are, the worse it's going to get. So, and no matter what tests you get done, mind you, I got a ton of tests done this last week. Like, people need to put their foot in their mouth. And all my hormone levels are at normal. So I got that done. I have other SMRTL, the WADA strict lab. I mean, they're the best lab in the world. Ooh. Talking to those gurus and what needs to be done and how they analyze things. And they are doing everything to pull all my previous records and my now current test. And there's lots of documentation over the years that I am a natural athlete. So, and no matter how many things I have done, it'll never be good enough for any of those folks. So you just do it and move on.
So let me get this straight. You said WADA and it said SMT. Is that like an organization that like tests hormones and things like that? Or
so SMRTL is the one that is the lab that most natural bodybuilding federations will use if they are testing for everything under the sun. So there's some labs like Redwood Toxicology. That's one that some federations use. They don't test for SARMs. So, and that's a big one, right? As a natural athlete, like, if you're using SARMs, it's not really natural. So SMRTL, they test for all of it. I mean, that's where the Olympic athletes get tested through.
Oh, wow. And then you said they have a record of you testing over the years.
Yes.
I just don't understand how people get doubted now still. What the fuck? Like, at some point or other, it's like, you got to fucking check in with yourself. Why are you still doubting this woman's progress? Like,
no, apparently I've got a square jaw and a man's voice, so.
Oh, hardly not. Hardly not.
I mean, it's a little scratchy today from all the screaming at Rockfest, but.
I'm still confused on why people want to hate. But I mean, hey, again, people are in their own journey. People got to work through why the hell they feel animus about someone else's success. And so therefore it is what it is. All right. The last thing I wanted to bring up, and I did message you this, and I definitely want everybody to hear this, which is I just got my younger daughter into weightlifting. I got her into training for volleyball. And one of the profiles that I referred her to see, how she can, extend is yours. I'm like, I've met Courtney. She's a phenomenal person inside and out. And what I really enjoyed about all the messages and who you are as a person, it's an inspiration for, young ladies like my daughter, like other young ladies that are, may not be exactly have the same experience as you, but do have certain like body image issues, are on the cusp of bodybuilding or whatnot. Is there anything that you would tell maybe like those young ladies, maybe a younger version of yourself, about what like bodybuilding has done for you, or why you should or should not get into it?
Well, first, thank you. I appreciate those kind words and having your daughter follow me. That means a lot.
Yeah.
And as most ladies, young or old, you're going to be looked at and hoped to fail. And it's up to you. You have control over what you do, what you put in. You have the control if you fail or not what other people are saying, because you will be looked at to fail. And, everything that I've done, like I said, I'm stubborn, and all of that hate and negative talk, it only gives me more fire. I mean, so anybody looking into bodybuilding, if you have a body image issue, it's definitely something you have to tread lightly with. I'm very cautious with athletes that come and they have really bad body dysmorphia to start with. Taking the time to really build and change your body composition first versus just diving into a prep, because it's only going to make your body image worse. You're at the leanest you've ever been, right? And you already want to be lean, so if you dive right to that and you try to stay there, your body and your mind are going to want to stay there, and it's going to be really hard to come out. And most end up eating in such a deficit, and then it harms them in the long run. So definitely need to tread very, very carefully. But obviously the empowerment you get with building and having that structure, and like you said, being strong and built but yet feminine, like that is like a huge goal of mine. And if you're looking to have that confidence and self-control, it is very possible, and you just got to put your mind to it and keep grinding.
Yeah. I don't even want to add anything to that. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Well, no, that's so funny because there's so many avenues that we can just discuss. I'm like,
Yeah.
nope, we're gonna leave that as such. That's last thing I have to bring up. I have to bring this up
Yeah.
because I promised my homegirl Robin I was gonna tell you this. Right?
Robin.
I love Robin. Oh my god, she's
Yes.
such a great
She
person.
came
Just
out to
inside
cheer
and out.
me on. I was so thankful for her to be there
Right?
at that Twin City show.
She's such a great supporter. But she did
She
say,
is.
because I was talking to her about it and talking to her about talking to you and certain things that we want to bring up. But I remember she was talking about her own journey, and she was talking about how like she did really well her first time through, her first season. And one of the things that she highlighted is that she is a competitor, that although she loves everybody in the community, she named you specifically as like, hey, I'm going to let you know I'm going after Courtney. Like I'm going to go after that's the
Yep.
competition. What do you have to say about that?
I love it. I mean, that's what it's about. And we're competitors on stage, and we will push each other, and that's what makes us better. But yeah, we're friends and love each other on the back end. So the community with that and all these friendships that I've made has been incredible.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, sorry, then now that it just adds up, what are maybe like, this will be the last question. I promise, Courtney, I promise. This will be the last question
No
before the next
problem.
last question. Who are some of the, maybe name like two or three athletes that you love competing against or whose journey you're following right now? You don't have to know them personally, but is there anybody in the community or like I said, two or three athletes that you enjoy watching their journey?
Oh, that's a tough one. I try to not, look and compare and all of that too much, because one, that's how you get in your head, right?
Oh, that's a
Um,
good point.
but
Yeah.
yes, so the cooks, I have like those people are phenomenal. Body structure, Marianne Cook, just amazing. great person inside and out. We actually use their engraving for some of the stuff for our business, and like to watch both of them, her and her husband, throughout the years has been, I mean, inspiring and motivating. And to stand on stage next to her several years ago at the USBF Championships, like that was a big one for me. And trying to think some other, like Larissa, being able to hit that Florida Pro with her was really fun. I always admire these athletes that just get so lean, and I just don't get lean like that. But it's like just to compare, structures. It's like you look at them and you're like, oh my God, they're going to be really hard to beat. And, but like I said, I try not to go there because it sends you in a mental spiral. So it's like, I really try to stay in my own lane when I'm competing and prepping and really just looking at what do I need to do. But it's always fascinating to me to see somebody on social media and be like, oh, they look phenomenal. But then putting their structure next to mine and then comparing it. And it's like, it can be a totally different image at that point. So that's something I always find fascinating, is that that's why I always tell my athletes, don't get yourself caught up in looking at others and comparing, because you're going to see them and think, yep, this I'm totally done, and your mind is already out of the game. You take yourself out before you even attempt it. And then you step on stage next to them and you're like, oh, well, this isn't that bad. Like we're, right. We're pretty comparable, or like, yeah, their structure is just totally different than what I thought it would be. And that can overpower any physique on stage structure.
Man. Yeah. It's, what's interesting is like the Florida Pro, a lot of the athletes that went there, they're like, holy crap, look at these other athletes. And it's funny because every other athlete is also thinking the same thing about them.
Same thing.
Right. And it's funny how, just like, for example, I'm sure people are like, oh, I can't believe Courtney actually admires somebody else because she's the standard. But it's like, no. I'm still marveled at everybody else's results. And it's just what you said. Everybody has their own mindset, their own set of thoughts that are going into each and every show. So, yeah. So, no, go ahead. Do you have anything else to add onto that?
No.
Oh, I thought you were saying something, but all right. Well, that is the actual last question that I had on there, Courtney. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap this up here?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me on and giving, light to some of the questions and scrutiny. And I appreciate the support, and obviously the recent win in the natural bodybuilding community that has been in an uproar this last week.
Right.
Has been phenomenal. So I appreciate all of you. And obviously my husband. All he does. He's always right there by my side every step of the way. What he says, he's my boombox holder. Yeah, somebody's got to hold your boombox, he says.
That's awesome, Mike. You know what? This new generation has no idea what the hell a boombox is.
No. So, what's a boombox?
Like, where's the Spotify button on this? Like, oh my God. It's like my kids will never know the struggle of what it's like to have a blank tape in a boombox so that I can record.
Holding a boombox is way cooler than holding an iPod.
You need bigger arms for it.
We don't even know what an iPod is anymore.
Right? It's just, yeah, I remember like literally having like a blank tape in my boombox and waiting for a song that I like and running to hit record because that's the only way I'm going to be right. Yeah. Like the struggle of listening to music was real back then. I swear.
It was real.
Anyways. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. And Courtney, I can't thank you enough for joining me on this. I really do appreciate it. And just stay on for a little bit. But everybody else, thank you all for joining. Yeah. Sorry, I just was continuing talking. I'm going to end this. I can't lie about this. Every single time I get to this point of wrapping up an episode, I'm like, what am I saying? What am I doing? And I get this like really random anxiety where I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep talking. And I'm just like, I need to figure out a best way to end this thing. Damn it. Anyways.
You're doing great.
Thank you. Maybe that's all I need is a compliment. That's all I need. Anyway. Yes. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, deuce.